Good morning, crafty friends, and welcome to our fabulous live today. I am so glad you are here. It's going to be a fun one. I know everybody has kind of figured out by now that Halloween is one of my favorite holidays to craft for. I don't do a lot of the dressing up side of things, but I love Halloween cards and treats. That's my thing. I love candy, and so as a candy lover, why wouldn't Halloween be one of my favorite holidays? It only makes sense. I am super excited to share with you our Halloween collection this year, and I know it's still summer for a lot of us, at least in our head. Today the weather actually is a little bit fallish. It's been kind of in the 90s this past week and weekend, and today we're down, gosh, I think John said it was supposed to be like less than 80 today, so a 20-degree swing in temperatures for us here in Iowa, but it does feel a little bit more like fall today. So let me know you're hopping on, and I would love to hear, have you already picked up your Halloween goodies this morning? It happened at 9 o'clock, the new products released, so you probably got our email. You've probably been checking out sneak peeks on the Tailored Expressions Facebook page and fan page. I would love to hear if you're excited about Halloween as well. I hope you are. I always get excited, and I love sharing all of the design team samples with you today, and then of course we'll get crafty together. I have lots of deals to talk to you about too, but let's go ahead and say hi to some people first. Hello Christine, 2 orders placed already. Hello Maria from California, also you love Halloween. Good, I'm excited for you to get your order. Sally, good morning. Rainy in Michigan. Yes, it was kind of just, I call it spitting when it's not really raining, but it was kind of just a little bit of drizzle outside when I just checked out the window. So, hello Barbara in the UK. Hi Debbie. Hello everyone on YouTube is pouring in now. Lots of goodies already ordered. Hi Mindy. Your fall candle smells like an orchard. You're so happy. I do love a good fall candle scent. I don't need any more candles, and yet the Bath & Body Works candle sale gets me every year. I stock up, and then, I burn 2, and then I stock up again, and then I burn another 2, and then all of a sudden my cabinet's full of 24 candles. But it's fun. It's like my little collection, kind of like stamps for some of us. We collect and organize and store them, and then they're just too pretty to use or too good smelling to burn. That's me and candles. Good morning, Susan. Hi, Gail. And Sunny's here. Gail mentioned mini Snickers bars, and that kind of got my mind going on candy again. I don't know if you guys have seen, but one of our fans on the Facebook page posted, I believe it was Taryn, posted that the Nerds Clusters seasonal Halloween variety packs are now in stores. I don't know, has anybody been able to find them yet? I did stop by a couple gas stations on my way to work to see if maybe, sometimes they're the first ones around here to carry the seasonal packs, but I didn't find the Halloween Nerd Clusters yet. Maybe the grocery store, I can check there. I know someone who ordered off of Amazon, so I'm excited to try them. I think our consensus this spring with all the nerd clusters was that the spring seasonal pack was the tastiest. The Easter one, I think it was for. So check for that when you're at your grocery store or Target or the gas station. It is in an orange package, and I can't wait to hear what they taste like. So, all right, well, let's get to looking at some of the inspiration. It is amazing. The design team every single time just knocks it out of the park. Oh, Anna says it's ugly hot in Southern California. I believe it. This is your hot season, kind of August and September. For us, it's June and July here in Iowa, but I know from living out in California, August and into September can be very hot for you guys. Okay, so I am going to just kind of do my little sort as we chat about some of the things you're seeing in front of you. So many amazing samples. I can't wait to share them all with you. And I love how each design team member kind of takes a product and uses it in a slightly different way. And they have, again, done an amazing job with this release. All right, we're getting down there. Oh, Pam says she can't find them on Amazon yet. I thought I had heard someone that got them on Amazon. Oh, the bulk is on Amazon. That's what she says. Yes. So check for Nerds Clusters on Amazon. Okay, I think I got them all. Let's talk first before we get to the, sorry, just a second. Oh, okay, got it. Whitney left me a little note. I had to read that note before I started talking about the bundles. But let's talk about our specials for this week. So we have an exclusive 100 plus freebie just for our Halloween release. So starting at 9 o'clock this morning, orders of $100 or more will receive our Graveyard Shift die set. So this has 3 fun dies in it. You can see the backer die goes behind the pumpkins or the jack-o'-lanterns so that you can make their faces whatever color you want to show through. And then there's a little graveyard border as well. So this does take the place of our normal 100 plus freebie that we launched on August 1st. And this one will last through the 16th or while supplies last. So just keep an eye on what is added to your cart and you will see that Graveyard Shift there, likely all the way through the 13th. So we hope. All right. Let me show you a few samples then using the Graveyard Shift. So this is the freebie. Look at this gigantic die. It is big. So here's your normal size of an A2 card, and the die packaging is about twice that size plus some extra. So it is a big die. You can see here is what it looks like on the back. And it is designed to go all the way across a mini slim card horizontally, which means it also works both vertically and horizontally on an A2 card. These dies are designed to kind of nest together or layer over each other so that you can get a scene, something like this one. I love how this one, let's see, who made this one? I forgot to ask Whitney. This one doesn't have a name on it. My guess is maybe Emily. Did Emily make this one? It looks like a bright Emily card. It could also be Jen. But they always keep me guessing. So this one has the black glitter cardstock behind the faces of the jack-o'-lantern. Then you've got that graveyard border behind it. We're going to talk about these bats and where they came from in just a little bit with one of the other product bundles that we have. Then let's check out this one. Love how this pumpkin is stamped with our Zigs and Zags stamp. Do you guys see the texture on that from the tone on tone stamping of that background? And then we've got the splatter on the graveyard, more of those little bats up there in the top skyline, and then yellow jack-o'-lantern faces on this one. I think that's so fun. Oh, good. Yes, I was right. It's Emily. That was my first guess. Emily is this one. And then Lori made this one. Is that right? Yes. Lori made this one. Super cute, guys. Then we have this one from Jill. Jill always chooses an unexpected color combination, and I think I never would have thought of that, and I love it. So we've got some peaches and cream down here mixed with a little bit of, that looks like blue raspberry, and some saltwater taffy with a blend across the top of that arch. I think it's super cute how she used one of our stencils to kind of add stars in the skyline. And by offsetting 2 of those die cuts, you get a little bit of a shadow. So she's got that black die cut behind the teal colored die cut, and that gives you that little bit of dimension. In addition to popping up certain layers, that's going to give you more dimension as well. Then I have this last card using Graveyard Shift. Sue from our team here at Tailored Expressions made this beautiful card, and it is an A2 trifold. So I'm going to open it for you here and show you how this goes together. So she cut that graveyard into the front here, and as we pull it open, you can see it has triple layers. So we've got that trifold, and when it folds all together, that's how your scene is created. So we have that black glossy cardstock on the front. I told you guys a couple weeks ago that this was going to be a popular one to stock up on that glossy black for Halloween projects. And then behind that, she has the jack-o'-lanterns with the yellow faces. And then she used that same graveyard die cut as a mask here in the background to blend a spooky skyline, adding some of our clay stars for dimension in the top. So super fun. I love that. Yeah, Marilyn says, love the trifold. Deneen, love the triple fold. Yes, it is a super fun one. We'll have to have Sue give us some ideas on how she created this. I know that it uses, like she kind of scored and adhered behind certain things in order to add this fold over to the side. So this one is just your regular card base here, and then the addition on the side of that black glossy cardstock gives you your third layer of the trifold. So cute. So that is the Graveyard Shift die. Now let's talk about some of the other bundles that we have for this release. I'm going to talk about this one first. This is the Spooktacular bundle, and this features something that we have never done before. We have a split background stamp and stencil combo for this fun product, which gives you lots of different options for the way that you want to use different colors with it. Of course, combining fun pastes and doing all those things you're going to see in the samples that the design team have done. This really is just a versatile option, and you can use these stamps separately too. So if you only want to use the bats in the top, you can do that. Or if you only want to use the pumpkin part of the stamp, you can do that. So lots of different options with this Spooktacular bundle. Let me just mention that you will notice that the jack-o'-lanterns on this stamp are the same as the jack-o'-lanterns in the Graveyard Shift. So these are not designed, this die is not designed to cut out the stamped image. It's just another way of being able to use this particular artwork. So you can do some of those layered things with this, while this gives you the opportunity to kind of create more of that blended background and do the dual stamping on there. They can be used together as well. So if you wanted to stamp this and then pop up your die cut over the top of this, you could do that. So they do match each other to use together, but they're not coordinating in the sense that you don't need to use this to cut this out. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's open this up and you guys can see what this looks like and what it includes. So this bundle that I've been telling you about, the Spooktacular bundle, is $65. It is a convenience one-click bundle, so there's not a discount on it. It is just a convenience of purchasing all the items as a one-click bundle, but you can get these individually outside of the bundle as well. So we have that split background stamp and stencil combo, plus the Spooktacular Sentiments set, and the coordinating dies. So let's turn this over and take a look at that split stamp. You can see where it is cut here so that the bats are separate from, actually I don't want to take this one off because it's brand new. Let me pull mine out, which is dirty because I've used it already, but I'm going to pull this one apart so you guys can see how this works. So similarly to our Sandy Shores, this is going to allow you to choose different colors for each of these. It also gives you the choice of, I only want to use the bats, or I only want to use the pumpkins. And you can do that. And then if you want to use both, you can easily fit them back together and pair them up. Now we wanted you to be able to create some spooky skylines with different colors, which the design team has done an amazing job of. And the way that you are going to be able to do that is by taking your stamped image, covering it up with the stencil mask, and then blending through that skyline up through the top. We're going to use this later on in the live today, so you'll get an idea of exactly how all of these products work together. Now the other thing you're going to want to be able to do is fill in those jack-o'-lantern faces with whatever color you want. Some of our designers have done yellow, some have done orange, some have done black. So this part of the stencil then gives you the option to fill in. You'll mask everything else around it and you can fill in those faces with whatever color you want. So lots of options for using this and kind of customizing and playing. I love versatility when I'm crafting, so I don't feel like I have to do it in the same set of colors or use the same look every time. You can get lots of different looks from this scene that is built for you because it has all those extra add-ons and features that allow you to kind of choose your own adventure. That's what I'll call it. Anybody else remember those books when we were kids? Or I read the Choose Your Own Adventure books, and I would read them multiple times, choosing different adventures to see where it ended up. That was whoever thought of that idea and figured out how to make it happen in a book form was kind of genius. Okay, so then I mentioned we have the Spooktacular Sentiments and the coordinating dies for that. There are some good ones in here that work well with other things in our Halloween release. We've got the Hey Sugar, which you'll see a little bit later. I'll be using Trick or Treat. I love the big Happy Halloween. It doesn't fit super great with this particular scene, at least not down in the bottom as well. But I do love a good big Halloween sentiment. So that is Spooktacular Bundle, $65. Now let's go to this adorable bundle. You guys, it's called Staying Alive, and it features the most adorable little skeletons. They are dancing, kind of reminiscent to Saturday Night Fever. You see the little guy with his arm up in the air pointing upwards, and that is our little Saturday Night Fever dancing skeleton. There are some other things that we put together in this bundle. An interactive die that I'm going to show you how that works. Super cute way to put your skeletons inside of a door that opens. And before I move on to showing you that, I forgot to show you this. I'm going to pop back on screen here just because I want to show you my skeleton earrings today in honor of our Staying Alive bundle. I found those over the weekend and thought they were so cute, so I had to grab them. They were screaming at me from the shelf, "Buy me! Buy me!" Okay, so let's take a look at this Staying Alive bundle. It all starts with these adorable little dancing skeletons in the Staying Alive set here, with lots of kind of punny sentiments to go with them. Ghouls just want to have fun. Staying alive, if you got it, haunt it. There's also an ah in there for the to go with the Staying Alive. Ah, 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 staying alive. Hopefully I didn't totally butcher that, but that's kind of where we were going with the ah. And then we have the Happy Halloween, Open If You Dare, and then this one is one of my favorites. It's going to be a great Halloween. I can feel it in my bones. So that set then comes with coordinating dies, or the bundle comes with the coordinating dies for that stamp set is what I was meaning to say. And then the other item in this bundle is called Another Door Opens, and this is a set of 3 doors that you can cut into your card panel, and those doors are connected to the card base with an impress line on the left, but a cut line around the rest of the door so that the door will swing open when you cut it into your card panel. Then for versatility, you have the option of adding windows into your doors. If you want to kind of have your skeletons peeking out of the top of the window, you would add this to your window after you die cut into the card base. And then these are completely open windows. So this is the window pane, and this die would give you, if you positioned it over the top of your door and cut it out again, that would give you an additional opening that's just completely open instead of with the 4 panes in it. So let's take a look at some of the samples that everyone created. This one, you guys know who created this one, right? Emily Midlowski. She went rainbow with these adorable little skeletons, and I think it turned out so, so cute. Embossing them in white on the different rainbow colors of cardstock with Ghouls Just Want to Have Fun. We've got our Staying Alive skeleton in the middle leading the dance party. I think that's super cute. While we're talking about this bundle, this product is not part of the bundle, but I'm going to share with you a new set of stacklets that works great with our Halloween collection. So these are called squiggle stacklets. You'll see Emily use them on this project, and you'll probably see them quite a bit more here in just a little bit. So next up, let's look at this one. Love how everybody is positioning things within the arch. Let's see, who did this? This one must be Emily too. Jill did that one in the arch earlier that I thought was so cute with the graveyard shift. And you can see she used the graveyard shift die here. And she actually did combine it with the stamp. So she positioned it as best she could over the top of that stamped image and just cut the tops of these pumpkins so they kind of come out of your cardstock. So if you wanted to try that, you can. It's not how it was designed to work, but it does serve that purpose as well. So big happy Halloween at the bottom, the bats from the Spooktacular in the background. We've got orange glitter cardstock there, which I think is super, super cute. Jill did our little Staying Alive, and she used the door die as a mask. So she actually masked that shape and blended within each of those openings with stars and spider webs, which I think is super cute, and then positioned those little skeletons inside of her masked arch shapes. And then it looks like she left those masks in place and blended all the way around the other outside of the cardstock. So this one has lots of fun blends on it. Love it. All right, let's take a look at these. I know every year, well, we know Heather as the tag queen around here. I'm sure you guys know her the same, and she always creates the most adorable tags for her family. So Hannah and Tacey are her girls, and then Chad is her husband, and they are going to have these cute tags. I better mail them back to you, Heather, so that you can actually use them for your family. But I think they turned out so, so cute with the spider web stamped in the background, and then we've got the skeletons dancing across the graveyard, which is from that freebie. And let me show you a couple other things that she used on these that are new to this release as well. You can see that she spelled out the names with our new Stitched Alpha set. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, what it was designed to go with, but it works great for something like this as well. It's kind of a mid-sized alphabet, so the letters are about 1 inch high, and that is bigger than our Mini Caps Alpha, but smaller than the alphabet Tall Tales that we released in a kit earlier this year. So this is just a great mid-sized, kind of really versatile alphabet die set. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, you may have thought this has been part of the collection forever, but I realized we don't have black enamel dots, and so why not for Halloween? I think we need some black. We now have Oreo enamel dots that you can see that Heather placed down on all of her little tags. So Oreo enamel dots are now part of our collection as well. Now I got a couple more of these samples for you. And then we're going to move backwards because I realized I forgot something. So this is from Lori. I love how she used those squiggle stacklets to create the card base. And then she's got the little candies hanging down and the skeleton kind of reaching up for the candies or dancing among the hanging candies. I think that's super cute with the kind of cloudy backdrop that she did in a softly spooky color combination, which I think is fun. Okay, and then last I wanted to show you this card that I created, and this features the doors. So I cut the doors into this piece of cardstock that was first die cut with the squiggle stacklets. And you could even add little brads to the doorknobs. Hopefully you can see there are little doorknobs on there. It's kind of hard to capture in the photograph, but you can see the impress lines in person, and so it gives these doors that character on the front. And then you could add a little brad for the doorknob, and then these doors can just open up, and we have little dancing skeletons behind them with a blend of color on a piece of cardstock that I put behind that squiggle stacklet. Then I used the Open If You Dare, and one of the backgrounds that I thought would look good on this was the burlap background. Just gives that card base a little bit of extra texture. So there you have the doors. Okay, I realized I got so excited about the Staying Alive bundle that I kind of forgot to show all the inspiration for our Halloween scene bundle. It was sitting off to the side, and I thought, you know, I don't think I actually showed that. So this we talked about already, our Halloween scene spooktacular bundle that features this split stamp and stencil combo. And I'm just going to show you some of the amazing samples the design team did. Heather, love how she embossed this with our black sparkle embossing powder. I know it's kind of hard to capture on camera, but it's so vibrant, rich black with the beautiful iridescent sparkle in it. Love that. Then she blended inside the jack-o'-lanterns with orange ink, and then used the mask to blend up the cardstock with her Spooky Sky blend. And I love how she created this on a mini slim. So this does create a 6x6 piece of cardstock. So I wonder if she'd even be able to get 2 of these out of one. Oh, she answered that question for me. Ha! I love that, Heather. So she was able to get 2 mini slim cards out of one of these blended and stamped panels, which is super cool. You can see right there where it was cut down the middle, and then 2 different cards were created. So fabulous. All right, this one kind of is a similar color combination to Heather's. This is the one that we'll be creating on the live today. And I just very simply stamped in black, then we're gonna blend. I embossed those bats with the same black sparkle embossing powder that Heather used for her jack-o'-lanterns. And then I filled in the faces with iridescent glitter paste. So lots of techniques happening on this, but really when you're finished with it, it's pretty much a 1-layer card, which I do also love, especially for mailing purposes. I did end up popping up my sentiment just a little bit, even though it's on black cardstock on a black stamp. It still just adds that little bit of dimension down at the bottom. Then we have this creative sky from Jill. She stamped her pumpkins with the Concord grape color and then blended in the skyline with a variety of teal inks. She spelled out eek with our stitched alphabet that I already showed you, and then those bats are up in the skyline. Now you will see, because this is a vertically oriented card, Jill did take and make her kind of push her bats upwards so she had room for that sentiment. And you'll notice if you're making a vertical card, or a horizontal card is what I meant to say, those bats sit a little bit closer down towards the pumpkins. But that's the great thing about a split stamp as well, is that you get to choose where you want it. If you want to fit it in like a puzzle and make it just like the picture shows, you can, but you can take some liberties and move it around to fit your design as well. Then we've got this beauty. I think is this Jen or is this still Emily? It kind of reminds me of Jen, but I'll have to figure out a way to make sure they sign their cards, or we can sign them when they get here, so I'm not giving credit to the wrong person. But I love this one. So on this one, it is a square card, so it's using a good amount of that background piece. And then we've got the iridescent paste in there, the fun spooky skyline with the tealish green out to the darker blue. which I think is super fun. Anybody know anyone with a Halloween birthday? We did put a little birthday sentiment in the set that says, hope your birthday is spooktacular. I'd love to know if anybody on here today has a Halloween birthday. Okay, man, we have a lot of stuff for Halloween. I feel like I'm only maybe a third of the way through. So I will speed up my talkie as we continue on here. But this one, so this year we will not be having a specific autumn release. And so Heather actually designed this Plentiful Pumpkin Stamp and Stencil combo as our fall autumn offering for the Halloween release. So this one is designed to be a little bit more your traditional fall look and less of a Halloween pumpkin like what we've shared so far. And this is similar to what we've done for our Peaceful Dove and our Joyful Bunny, where you get that background stamp that stamps the kind of the pattern, leaving the pumpkin open in the center. And then you get a series of stencils to add the design to the middle of the pumpkin. And then the other thing we have is the Plentiful Pumpkin die, which includes the etchings that match up with the stenciled artwork. So if you want to just cut this pumpkin out and use the stencils from the Stamp and Stencil combo, you can do that. And Heather did both of those things on her projects. These are going to be on the YouTube channel later this week, so you can check those out. But she was able to kind of use all the things on these two cards. You can see she stamped the background and then die cut the pumpkin and stenciled right on that colored cardstock and then popped that up over the top of the background. On this particular one, she did not die cut the pumpkin, but instead just blended directly onto the stamped cardstock. So you can really do it any way you want, which again is one of those versatile products that I talk about, that you get to choose your own adventure. And there are lots of different looks you can achieve by doing things just a little bit differently. The other thing that she used on these that I love are the little fall flurry dies you can see down here that are accenting her sentiment on each of the pumpkins. And then the sentiment stamp is from our previously released Happy Harvest stamp set. So, of course, Heather made a tag too, which again, just die cut those pumpkins and stencil right over the top. You can see there's some beautiful stitching detail in that die, and the stencil fits right over the stitch details. So it's like adding an extra dimension to your project without having to do any extra work. You just line the stencil up over that die cut area and you get a beautiful pumpkin. Then we have this one. This one is from Sue, and I mentioned her earlier. She's the one that created the trifold A2 card. This one is so super fun. It's got the final layer of the pumpkin stencil. She used glitter grab and then Cookie Monster foil. So as I get that up to the light, you can see the beautiful foiled details of that final layer, which I think is super fun and interesting, makes this pumpkin really interesting. I love it. Okay, so that's Plentiful Pumpkin, which is a Stamp and Stencil combo and then a die that you can add on. Now we have this little kind of mini collection. This is not a bundle, but these products all work together. We have our Toil and Trouble Cauldron. It is a shaker element, but you don't have to use it as a shaker. I'll show you a sample here where one is used as a shaker and one is not. This particular one here, Susan created, and it is a shaker. She put our little, what do we call these, bits and pieces, Halloween stars and sparkles are inside of that shaker, along with die cuts from this Little Bits Cauldron confetti. Now I wanted to point something out about this particular die set. I decided, so there were kind of two main categories of items in this little die set. There were things that should be cut out of white and things that should be cut out of black. So I arranged all the things that would typically be cut out of white on one of these little panels of die, and then the other one is all the things that you would typically cut out of black. Now you're welcome to cut them out of any color you want to, but that's why you have two separate dies with certain elements on one die and certain elements on the other. We have the bats, spiders, and the middles of the eyeballs for the black layer, and then we have the bones and the fish and the kind of outside of the eyeballs in the second layer. Susan used last year's bats stamp. I forget the name of that bat, or that stamp. Spooky Season, maybe? But I love how it looks in the background of her card, like those bats are kind of flying away from the cauldron. She cut her smoke or steam out of vellum, which I think gives this some extra fun dimension. Then we have another one. So I'll bring this one in because it also uses the cauldron in a little bit different way with another, this is our last kind of collection for this release. It is the Hang On Halloween Candy. So we have previously released our Hang On stamp, and this particular die is designed to hang candies from our Hang On stamp. You can see Lori used it on this card. She's got the Hang On stamp with the little candies hanging from it. And then on this kind of coordinating card, she used the cauldron with candies coming all out of it. So here's an option for not making a shaker element out of the cauldron. And I think it turned out super fun. And again, I love her softly spooky color combination. Now that brings me to the Stitched Alpha again, which these dies were kind of sized to work with the Hang On stamp. So if you want to spell a person's name or you want to spell the word Halloween, you can do that by cutting these letters out and hanging them on the strings of the Hang On stamp. So I don't have a sample to show you of that, but that's kind of where the Stitched Alpha came into this release. But I love how everyone kind of incorporated it in some different ways. And then this is the card that I created using the Hang On Halloween Candy. We've got that Hey Sugar that's from the Spooktacular Sentiments set. I used the squiggle stacklets and just a fun Halloween color combination. I've been using a lot of, I've got candy corn, sweet potato pie, Concord grape, and dragon fruit, along with the Oreo for the black. And that's been a color combo that I have enjoyed using for this year's Halloween release. Okay, last but not least, we have a favorite from the past. The Gus and Gertie Halloween Stamp and Die combo is now available. I know I have seen a number of people looking for this on our buy sell trade page, and we are excited to make this Gus and Gertie an official part of the collection. You can see Gertie's dressed up as a bat, and then she's flying among the other bats, and then Gus is kind of looking at all of them. We have the coordinating die that cuts out all of the items separately, the three little bats, Gertie, and Gus, so you can arrange them in your scene however you would like. So there we have it. One last thing we have been doing with our releases this year, some of our more I guess seasonal or holiday-based releases, we have been coming out with ink collections. So ink bundles. Our ink bundle for the Halloween release is available in Jelly Donut, Candy Corn, and Lime Zest. It's just a nice one-click bundle if you're looking to get started with Tailored Expressions inks. You can grab the minis, you can grab the fulls, you can grab both, and you'll have a good just starter set of colors for the season of Halloween. So check out those ink bundles in our Halloween category as well. Oh, you guys, I made it. I made it through all the goodies. What are you thinking? Do you have a favorite? Let's see. We've got a couple questions. Desiree says, love the stitched alpha. Hope to see numbers too. You will see numbers. I don't have a date for you right off the top of my head, but you will see numbers. Gail, we have, are the letters shorter than a Tall Tales Alpha? Yes, they are. So the letters of the stitched alpha are about 1 inch in height, which is, oh, I would say maybe half the size of a Tall Tales Alpha. I want to say those are maybe 1.75 inches tall. Yeah. Pam says, I didn't even realize Gertie was a girl. Yeah, I just made that up. Gertie can be a boy for you. It's just Gertie the Birdie is why we named Gertie that name. So Deneen likes the skeletons and the cauldrons. Let's see. This Gus and Gertie was previously offered as a freebie. So I think it was not last year, but 2 years ago, this Stamp and Die combo was our 100 plus freebie. So you will want to check your collection for that. If you've been buying from us for at least 2 years, you may have this one in your stash. Erin likes the skeletons and the pumpkins. I missed who said that, but someone said, I think I might have to unretire. Well, congratulations on your retirement, and I hope that means you just have lots more time to craft with all of the goodies. Okay, so let's get to crafting today then. Like I said, I am going to be making, let me see if I can find the project. I'm going to be making today this one. I can already tell I'm going to hold you over time today because we got a lot of stuff to cover, and I apparently had too many new products to talk about. All right, so I'm going to pull out my Misty here, and we don't need the black piece. And let's turn this over so it's not quite so busy. And we are going to take a little bit of adhesive and just place that down here. I am going to take the pumpkin. I'm going to stamp these separately, so I'm only taking the pumpkin for now. And we'll position that straight across the bottom here. Linda loves the cauldron. Marge is in for all the Gus and Gertie. Kay likes the bucket of candies. So fun. Okay, so we are going to put that piece of cardstock, I'm just kind of positioning it, making sure that my black goes all the way to the bottom of my cardstock, and then I will pick that up, pick the paper up by pressing down onto the adhesive that I placed down, and then I can put my magnet at the top because I don't have any stamp up here at this time. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp. I have VersaFine Clair ink that we're going to stamp these pumpkins with. I think it's time for me, or Whitney if you're listening, to re-ink our VersaFine ink pads. As I was creating this, I mean, this stamp is beautiful and solid, and as I was creating with this, I felt like, you know, it might be time to just re-ink. Okay, Just Press tool I would totally recommend with this. Look at that. That looks about perfect on the first try. I see a tiny little divot here, which I think I had something on my stamp that didn't quite get all the way, but it doesn't bother me. I can lift it up into the camera. You see just that tiny little white thing. I'm not gonna let it bother me that I need to stamp this over again. What I am going to do, so later when we're done blending all of this, I want to be able to put this back into my Misty in about the same spot. So I'm just going to mark the corners of my cardstock so that I know when I come back to the MISTI, that's where I want to put my cardstock, because for now I want to take this out and do my blending on it. So we'll set this aside. And this is where the fun stencil comes in to provide a mask for our pumpkins. And just get that mask perfectly in place over the top of what we stamped. And then I'm going to kind of place my magnets on there. You can also, if you've got some teal tape, you can do that too. I like to have all the assurances, so I can be a heavy-handed blender, and so I don't want to risk anything moving. So I'm going to use some teal tape as well. Okay, so we are going to start with orange. Orange is going to be the color towards the bottom, and then we're going to move up into the darker areas here. So I'm going to start with some candy corn, and we'll move to a little bit darker orange sweet potato pie. And I think I feel like I always have lots of tips when it comes to blending directly on your cardstock, but I think one of the biggest tips is it does just take some practice, because I know we can tend to be heavy-handed in some areas. We can get those blotches, but a couple of tips I have, depending on what color of ink you're working with. If it's a darker, deeper shade, I definitely recommend starting off of if you have a glass mat or on your placemat, kind of do your first swipe on the placemat and then go to your paper. And that's going to keep that first intense color from saturating your cardstock and making a blob. So there is kind of the first tip for you. Let me move to a darker color now. This would be the one that you might want to be more aware of swiping off before you continue. And depending, my ink pads are not super juicy. I use them a lot, and when I re-ink, I don't typically re-ink so that it's super juicy. I like them just a tad on the drier side, because it does make picking up color and blending a lot easier. So that's sweet potato pie. Then let's go with a little bit of plum punch. This color, plum punch, sadly has been discontinued from our cardstock collection, but we will continue to keep the ink around. And it is one of the most perfect Halloween purples, kind of verges on that magenta color. And this is one where I want to kind of spread the ink out before I start blending it onto my project. And just continuing to pull that color over the white cardstock until you feel like you really need to go back to the ink pad or back to your little area that you swiped on your glass mat. Because if you just continue coming back and grabbing more ink, you're going to end up with some really heavy areas that can be hard to blend out. And I start with a lighter hand, and I have to tell myself, because I can be a heavy-handed blender, I have to tell myself in my head, like, loosen up your grip on your blender brush. That's how you get a lighter hand. You don't hold it quite as tightly when you're blending. So I use the same blending technique whether I'm blending heavily and dark or want a lighter, a lighter blend. But what's differing that you can't see on the camera is how much pressure I'm putting on the brush. So I'm telling you, if you want a lighter hand, just loosen up your grip on your blender brush. And for some people it helps when you want a lighter hand to actually move down and just hold the handle and not hold up by the bristles. So you're going to get more pressure if you're holding up here and blending, as opposed to holding down here and just kind of lightly blending across your cardstock. A little bit more of the plum punch before we move to, and I am intentionally overlapping this with the last layer of color that we put down. That's how we get that kind of spooky grayish, purplish, orangey blend across here. Deanne, will you ever bring back any discontinued cardstocks or inks? Well, we have not discontinued any inks, so those are still available, and I have done some tutorials on how you can color your cardstock with ink, so that if you really need a certain color cardstock, you want it to match that ink specifically, that you can achieve that with the ink. Sadly, with the cardstock colors, right now, we are dependent on our manufacturers and what they choose to retire. And if we want to customize any colors or get back an order of a certain color, we have to order, I believe it's 10 tons of cardstock in that color. And for those of you that don't know, 10 tons might last us, 15 years. So it's a lot of cardstock, and most of our issue actually is just storage space for that cardstock. So we're actively looking into ways that we can do that and potentially expand our space here in Ankeny so we have more storage. And then there is a possibility that some cardstocks will come back. Right now, it is just dependent on manufacturing, and they tell us. So on that note, I'll give you a little kind of sneak peek into a coming week. So a couple weeks from now, you will see a cardstock come back in stock that we had previously told you would not be able to be restocked. So I'm super excited about it. I think you guys are gonna just be over the moon, and I'm not gonna tell you what color it is. You'll have to come back and see in 2 weeks, I think it is. Okay, so this is, Candy said she might try using her non-dominant hand for light blending. That's a good idea too. I'd be interested to see if you felt like you had less control, because I'm not very good with my non-dominant hand, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like I should try it now. It's kind of like brushing your teeth with your opposite hand, and it just feels foreign. My brain really has to think about what I'm doing right now, even to just make the circles on my cardstock. Some of us are ambidextrous. I would love to know if that's you. So right now I'm blending with dragon fruit ink, and it's a little bit more of a pinky hue than the purple magenta of the plum punch. But it is a great kind of partner for the plum punch, and in a pinch, it can even be a replacement, I think. Okay, so last but not least, we're gonna add a little bit of mystery to the blend, which is blue corn. And this is going to come across the top of the panel. I'm going to be a little bit heavier with this one because I want it to be very dark and spooky and mysterious looking. And I'm going to drag it down into the purple, maybe more than expected, because when I cut this panel out, I don't want to lose all of the blue, which is what I kind of did on this card. See this one? It doesn't have much blue in it. So I want to make sure I pull that down, leaving some of that brightness of the magenta towards the middle of the panel. Of course, if you're doing Heather's cool idea where you cut this in half and use both pieces for mini slim cards, kind of your 2-for-1 idea, you can blend all the way to the top with this blue corn, and you're going to see all of it, or a lot more of it than you do with mine. Okay, the other thing I always tell people when they're blending direct to paper, it's okay to go back and use another color or use the same color over again. So if I want to add more of that brightness of the plum punch in the center of my panel here, I don't have to be afraid of just taking that color again and blending it. All right, so I'm going to take this off now, and I'm going to move this up, and we'll go ahead and blend the faces onto here. Get that in place just so. All right, I'm going to blend with pineapple first, and then a little bit of the candy corn to highlight. The nice part is I didn't even have to wash my stencil because all my ink is up here at the top. And I'm not masking the bottom here. I'm just trying to avoid it. And it's also black already, so I don't think it would pick up much of the color if I did happen to go over the lines a little bit. So this is candy corn, and I'm going to come in and give it a little bit of kind of dimension, like a glowing candle inside of our jack-o'-lantern. Anybody into pumpkin carving for Halloween? I didn't grow up carving pumpkins, and I think when my kids were little, I was just kind of like, this is too messy. And so we never really started that tradition. But I love it when we go trick-or-treating and I see the houses where each family member made a pumpkin and they're all sitting out front. There we have it. Doesn't that look beautiful? Love it. So my other tip, it's not really a tip, it's just a mindset. When you're blending direct to paper, especially with Tailored Expressions inks, they are going to change as they dry. Those colors are going to meld together and create something that looks way different than what you have here. So don't feel like what you see is how it's going to end up. And I think that is kind of taken. You can see here, this one that's obviously been dry for days and days, just blends together seamlessly. Where this one, you can see a little bit of the blend lines up here. That's gonna meld together really nicely. So kind of knowing when to stop and just being aware that this is gonna change as you move, as it dries and you move through time passing. So, okay. On the top of my card panel here, I have embossed those bats with the Sparkle Black embossing powder. Now, in order to do that, you want to make sure that this part that you've blended is really dry, because if it's not, your embossing powder is going to stick to it. Doesn't matter, sometimes even using the powder tool doesn't help if your cardstock isn't completely dry. So I would recommend hitting it with a heat tool, and I'm going to do that here, and then we'll go ahead and put it back in the MISTI, stamp and emboss those bats. Oh, it looks like lots of you do pumpkin carving. Tammy, your husband, carved several pumpkins. That's fun. Megan says, always fun, but definitely messy. I might be going a little overboard on the drying, but I really want to make sure that my embossing powder isn't going to stick there. So let's, okay, feel good about that. We're gonna bring back in my Misty then that I left my stamp in. I left the bottom part of the stamp in there. And then I have my little markings that I put for my 6x6 cardstock, so I knew where to put this back. And now I'm going to take the other half of the split stamp and we're going to place it up here. Now with mine, obviously they're both black, but one of them is going to be embossed and the other one is not embossed. So that's what this stamp allows me to pick and choose what I want to do. But if you wanted to save time and just do the whole thing in black, you could definitely do that as well. I also really like the option to stamp the bats after I do my spooky blend, because then I don't risk smearing it while I am adding all that other extra ink to my panel. Okay, so we are going to blend, or not blend, stamp in Versamark, and we are going to powder tool this thing like crazy. And it is going to make the colors look a little dusty, but we can buff that powder residue off after we finish our embossing. Oh, Easies, she asked a good question. She said, have you added your new monthly postage stamp to your card for August? I have not, and I actually haven't talked about the August freebies yet because they changed for this week. So I didn't want to talk about the freebie, the 100 plus freebie, because this week for our Halloween release, it's different, which means I also have not done anything with our cute little freebie for this month, the little postage stamp one. All right, I need to do that though. I took those larger bats and just kind of gave them an extra coat of Versamark. Now I have our black sparkle embossing powder that I'm going to use on these. Here's what that looks like. You can see those bits of shimmer inside. And grab a piece of, do you have a piece of scrap paper over there? Yes. For embossing? Thank you. Whitney just showed up just in time.
I remembered right when Nisi said that we needed to do our sticker. So I ran so fast.
Yeah, you did. Did you go get one from downstairs too? Oh, fun.
Yes, you can do it because it brings our heart joy.
It does.
To complete the circle.
Okay, look at that. We powdered well, you guys, and dried our panel so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to it. I got a little bit right here that I can just kind of get off with my finger. Okay, now let's go ahead and heat that. I hope you don't have anywhere to go today because we're still going. All right. Love it. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna buff this off. Like I said, that powder can make your image look a little bit, leave a little residue behind and make it look cloudy. So we're just gonna take our my buffing cloth here and buff over the surface, and it's going to bring everything back to that beautiful intense color. And now we're going to die cut. So let me grab the correct A2 layer stacklet is what I'm going to use. I like to use these layer stacklets instead of starting with the size that I need, because then I have the ability to position it right where I want it. So if I had made a mistake somewhere over here, I could move it this way. These just give you a lot of opportunity to kind of fuss with it. I think this is the right one. Yep. And I have to leave enough room for my trick or treat sentiment at the bottom. So let's make sure I do that. I have it already stamped here. And I want to get a little bit of my blue in there. Okay, this is exhibit 182 of Taylor lining something up and then forgetting to have tape ready. So let me grab my tape. I am going to use Scotch removable tape to send this through my die cut machine, and teal tape will pull up your paper unless you kind of condition it, like put it on your jeans or on your hand, or make it less sticky before you send it through your die cut machine. With the pressure of the die cut machine and the stickiness of that tape, it just really will stick to your cardstock, and if you're not careful when you take it out, it can tear the paper. So I want to make sure that that doesn't happen, and I'm going to use my favorite Scotch removable, and we'll send that through. Okay, there we have it. I'm using dragon fruit for the card base, so we're gonna end up putting that on here. But before we do that, I don't want to forget my favorite part, which is the iridescent glitter paste that's inside of the jack-o'-lantern faces. So I'm gonna grab that stencil that I have here, the mask, and I am going to need to mask off this bottom just in case. So let me run and grab some Post-it tape. Okay, so this is just Post-it removable labeling tape, and I'm going to line this up and then just mask off this bottom part of the panel. I'll be honest, the first time I did this, I didn't mask off and I got a little bit on the bottom, and it kind of did change the color of my ink. It's really hard to see, but there's a little bit of paste that I tried to wipe off, and then it kind of made the color of my ink change. So that's why I'm going to be safe this time and just mask it with some Post-it tape. And then this is our iridescent glitter paste. This dries clear with glitter in it, so you're still going to see the color of ink that you put behind. And we're just going to grab a little dollop out because there's really not very much opening on this stencil. And move from top to bottom on each pumpkin. And we'll let that dry. See if I can get this guy back together. When you get our paste, they have this little sealing piece in there. Make sure you keep that. It will help your paste from drying out when it's not being used. Peel this up. Peel that off, and you get even more sparkle. Love that. Yeah, Jamie says not living on the edge. Nope, not today. I've done a few things, and then when you get to the end of this, it's like looking so pretty and you don't want to mess up one last thing. So I did take the sentiment from the Spooktacular set. I've already embossed that white on black cardstock, and I'm just going to place that down at the bottom. Now you could emboss directly on the panel too if you wanted to do that. Whoop. Okay, I have a case of the Dropsies at the moment. Trick or treat. Cute. All right, with that still being wet, I don't want to risk, again, I'm not going to live on the edge for you today, but I will adhere this down to the card panel once this is all dry. And then I'll have 2 Halloween cards to send. All right, there we go. 11:11. I did keep you guys past our normal 11 o'clock, but hopefully you had fun. I think somebody had asked earlier, what does your whole shirt say? So here it is. It says fabulous, and I picked this one up last year. I was saying this morning to everyone that it's kind of fun. I get to use my Halloween stuff twice every year because we have our Halloween release and I'll wear my skeleton earrings, and then we have actual Halloween, so I get a little more use out of my Halloween shirt. So anyway, I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you love our Halloween release. It sounds like there's lots of different things that everybody is enjoying. So grab them at Tailored Expressions website, and I know Heather will be here on Thursday with you guys, and then on Friday I will be here as well doing our Combo Club live. So if you're part of our Combo Club, join in for that. You'll get a look at what our August Combo Club is, and we'll be getting crafty together. So we'll see you later this week.